What's going on, everyone? Really positive news coming out for the stock market today. Chairman Powell said that the Fed would not taper asset purchases, which is a very good sign for prices of stocks going up, but it is a bad sign for the banking sector. So that's a big reason why the IWM fell so heavily today, because the Fed said that they would not taper on asset purchases. If the Fed said that they were going to taper on asset purchases, that would mean that interest rates would go up. And if interest rates went up, that would be good for banks because banks would make more money. So the fact that the Fed said, hey, look, we're not going to taper back on any asset purchases. We're going to continue printing money. We're going to continue buying into stock. And that is bad news for the banks and good news for the tech sector. So, so we're going to go over the indexes. We're going to go over the bonds, the dollar, and of course the crypto market. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So today we can see that the SPY is continuing to have trouble at this level of resistance, but it is a good sign because now the SPY is beginning to cool off on the MACD. We can see that it's starting to cross down below while staying above support, which is a good sign. So essentially we just need to watch to see if the SPY can continue holding these levels of support, essentially, while crossing down below on the MACD, and then essentially being oversold on the MACD, which would then signal a potential bounce higher. Okay, so essentially we just need to watch if the SPY can hold 434.50, essentially. If it can hold 434.50, consolidate a bit more above that price, that would be the best bullish case scenario for the SPY to break above this level, this black trend line that we've been monitoring, right? But if not, then we would have to recheck to see if it could hold 432 and 433 area. And essentially overall, pretty good news coming out from the Fed. Pretty good bullish structure on the SPY still. Pretty good indicator reading here so far. So yeah, essentially that's really it for the SPY. Now I guess we can look at the IWM very quickly. So the IWM was the biggest loser today at down 1.5%. We can see that, yesterday we were monitoring the 220 area as support, 220.80 area as support, and once that cracked, now we're looking at the 218 area as support. We can now see that the IWM is trading outside of the lower level of the B band. So this is a bit more different. We just need to see if 218 area can hold. If not, then these trend lines down here around 216.50 and 215 are going to be the zone that would need to hold on the IWM. But, we are very overextended outside of the lower level. And we could have a repeat of a very extreme downside move and then an abrupt upside move. So we need to see if we can, have an extreme move down here and then a bounce back upward, similar to what we had back in on July 8th, and also similar to what we had on May 12th. Okay, so this is the key area that really needs to hold on the IWM. Essentially around 216 and right here around 214.50. So if 218 and 217.50 break, then these two trend lines are going to be very, very important for the IWM. Okay, and obviously the IWM fell heavily because the Fed said that they would not be tapering on asset purchases. And if the Fed said that they're not going to be tapering on asset purchases, then obviously that is not good for banks. Obviously, that is also not good for the US 10-year yield, which is why the US 10-year yield also fell 5% today. And yeah, that's really it for the IWM. Now we can look at the NASDAQ and the other bonds and the dollar. So the NASDAQ opened up very heavily, right? And throughout the day, it was very choppy. It fell as soon as it opened, essentially. And then it bounced a bit towards the end of the day. So essentially it did do well. We're still trading above this trend line. We're still consolidating. We're still oversold on the MACD, but this trend line is very, very important. So if the MACD cracks any lower, this could mean a very dangerous move to the downside. Also, the RSI is extremely overbought still. So there needs to be some sort of correctionary move. Similar to what we had back here on July 7th, we had a correctionary move, and then we ended up making new all-time highs. This was enough of a sell-off a bit for more buyers to step in. So we might need something like that again to see if we can continue on to the upside. Overall, the MACD is bullish. The RSI is not, because we are very, very overextended and overbought. And the candle structure, I mean, we are in an uptrend. So as long as we maintain this uptrend, then we are going to be bullish on the NASDAQ. But what can help give us further clarification is the 30-year yield. All right, so if the 30-year yield looks very, very good and it shows that it can have more upside, then that would mean that the NASDAQ could also have more upside. And currently, the 30-year yield looks very, very bullish. So it held this uptrend level very perfectly. We never even needed to touch it. We're very oversold on the MACD, and we are not yet even close to being overbought on the RSI. So all of those are very, very bullish situations, especially given the fact that we are trading above this level of support. We bounced off of it, and we are basically engulfing these two past candles. So that is very, very bullish. The 30-year yield shows that there is much more room to go, which means that for the NASDAQ, there's also potentially much more room to go. And the dollar actually fell today, but we are still oversold on the MACD, and we fell very sharply on the RSI, which is a good sign, meaning that the RSI cooled down a lot. So essentially, we just need to watch to see if the dollar can hold 92. And if it can, then if the dollar goes up in conjunction with the 30-year yield, then that will be very, very good news for the NASDAQ. But if the 10-year yield goes up in conjunction to the dollar, then that will be very, very good news for the IWM. So we need to see what happens for tomorrow. The US 10-year yield looks very, very overbought. It does not look very bullish. Very overbought. We failed at this resistance level. This signifies that there's still more room to go to the downside, and we can potentially still cross down below. And yeah, overall, the 10-year yield doesn't look good, which is why the IWM fell so heavily today. And yeah, that's really it for the overall stock market, the bonds. And now I guess we could look at crude oil. Crude oil also cracked down below the 23.6% fib, but we are now very oversold on the MACD. Now, essentially, we just need to see if the $71 area holds as support, like it did back here. And you could also see the RSI sharply fell as well. So those are all good. This is a good, healthy sell-off, essentially. If we can hold above 71, then we can bounce and create new highs. And then if not, then potentially as long as 69.27 holds, then that would still be extremely bullish for crude oil. All right. Now let's go ahead and check out Bitcoin and the crypto market. So Bitcoin is still, clearly having trouble. It retested the 78.6% fib level that we were monitoring at 31,482. So today it had a low of 31,589, and essentially it bounced back from that level. But the MACD is starting to look very, very bearish. I understand that this is now very, very oversold, right? But when we are this sharply oversold and Bitcoin has had trouble bouncing, then potentially what could most likely now happen is the MACD is going to cross above. And if Bitcoin's price does not start really, really moving strongly, like as the price of the MACD goes up as well, then as the MACD crosses over, if Bitcoin only, gets to, 33,000 or 33,500 area, then the MACD is going to cross above, and then it can potentially fall down even lower. What that would do with the price is it would fall even lower as well. So, I mean, overall, these levels are still like the most important levels to watch, regardless of my analysis on the MACD and the technical indicators. As long as Bitcoin can stay above this blue trend line, then it's bullish. If it doesn't, then it's bearish. Okay, and that's honestly really it. So right now we can see that it's trading right above it. It really needs to cross above 33,400 to get, start getting a bit more bullish. We are oversold on the MACD. So this, technically this is a very, very good setup for it to start pushing up. But if it doesn't, then that is a very, very bearish sign. And of course, the levels of support are going to be 31,500 and then 30,000. And yeah, that's really it for Bitcoin. Now we can look at Ethereum. Ethereum and all their altcoins are doing very well today. We need to just continue monitoring to see how it responds off of this oversold. And if Ethereum can work off of the oversold level very well, then that would be a good sign that Bitcoin can also work off of the oversold level very well as well. Okay, so yeah, if we see Ethereum start trading above 2150 after it's, started to cross back above, then that is going to be a very bullish sign, meaning that Bitcoin can also cross above these levels of resistance. So we just have to continue monitoring and wait and see. There's not much volatility right now in the, Bitcoin market. We're not making any, decisive moves currently. We're just consolidating. So we just have to be patient and continue watching. All right. But aside from that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will catch you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.